Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a comment. Now I'm going to be going through the basic settings within the game. Now the reason for this is quite simple. Within the basic settings are several settings that you need to change based on how you are playing and when you are playing. Now, one of the first things is your default language. As you can see, they have a number of options, and you can also reduce which push notifications pop up on your screen. So these are some of the things available to you. Now, in this first one, the only thing that you've seen that I've pulled down is music volume. Now, game audio is still on for me. However, I can completely kill it and have no game audio. Now, moving on from this setting is the most important round of settings for a person to use, and that is your battle settings. Now, as you see, I have auto orbit targeting off. Now, auto orbit target means when you target somebody, immediately your ship will start to orbit, and you are given two options when it comes to that orbit: the default range or sort by optimal range. So the closest optimal range will be where you will be, so that everything is firing within that range. So if you are running newts, that's neutralizers, and you decide you want to play with the auto orbit targeting on, which is what I'm going to put on now, then it's going to immediately take you in to the range of the newt. However, if you set your orbit to a higher range like 95 or 85, it'll give you a higher range by default. So once you start, you will always stay at the default range no matter what weapons activate. Okay, now that being put off, I will go by sort by optimal range. Now you do get another two options on this here. Auto attack the next target, you can have it on or off. So this means when you auto lock a number of targets, you can either keep hitting each target one after the other while your weapons are activated, or you'd have to activate your weapons each time you change targets. Now you also have the option for auto look back. Now what this does for you is it looks back towards the opponent who you are fighting. So basically it focuses your camera angle on the enemy. Now auto lock back. That's not look back. Sorry. Auto lock back means if somebody locks onto you in terms of PvP combat or PvE combat, anything that targets you, you target back and you start opening fire. Now this is paired up with auto attack. Okay, now I currently have auto tracking camera on, but I'm going to switch it off. Now when you are going through high sec a lot, make sure that your auto lock back is disabled and your auto attack is disabled. Sorry. This will allow you to take on a combat situation. For example, when you're going into the high sector, you find a lot of people trolling you at the gate. They lock onto people looking for the settings active because you go through nullsec all the time, or because you autopilot through nullsec all the time. And what this here will do is the moment they lock onto you, you'll start firing and you will be the aggressor in the fight. So the gate turrets will destroy you and they have an easy kill to go and loot. Now that is one of the styles for which players have been using, and it's one of the other things when it comes to these settings which you will activate when you are purely in nullsec. So for example, if you are running around in the let's see, I'm thinking of the Quarius area of the map, or Catch, or Curse, or Syndicate, or one of the other nullsecs, and you are running in between two nullsecs without crossing low sec, you simply leave auto lockback on and auto attack on. Now what this will do is the moment someone attempts to attack you, you will lock back on them immediately. So when they're locking on you, you're going to lock back and your weapons will instantly fire. This is going to put you straight into either a straight up attack, or if you set it with the auto orbit attack on, it's going to start orbiting the enemy who's attacked you, and it will either go to optimal range or default range depending on how you set it. So if you have it all active and you get into a fight, when this happens, it's going to allow you to fight back even if you aren't online, and it's going to give you the chance of surviving ambush in let's say for example a 5-man fleet decides to attack you while you're jumping out of warp. Not while you're jumping out of warp, but a 5-man fleet decides to attack you. They only have small ships. They don't have anything big, and they're just hoping to pull out a cyclone and destroy it. Your cyclone opens fire, everything auto attacks them, their ship gets destroyed, and your cyclone survives. And immediately, once the cooldown timer on combat disappears, your ship will warp off it if you are offline. If you are AFKing, then you're just going to be sitting at the gate after having taken them out. And anybody who locks on you will end up getting fired on by you. And once everything is done, you can reactivate your autopilot and head on back to wherever your trajectory was, wherever your course is. Now, amongst these options is orbit trajectory, display, or hide. Now, your orbit trajectory will tell you whether you're approaching or orbiting a enemy. It will tell you the distance or a friend, depending on which one you're following, and it will give you the distance that you're away from the object that you're going towards, or the object you're orbiting. And this is important for you so you know which optimal range you are using or what's your default on your ship. Now, moving down is another set of settings important for combat, and this is your graphics quality. Now, when it comes to fighting in PvP, high graphics quality will mean you will experience more lag from the server. So, reducing your graphics to custom and to 50% will allow you to not take in a heavy amount of damage during an encounter. So, all of this piled together is going to mean that you're going to have a very reduced form of um, lag when it comes to the entire incident. Now, as you can see below, there are other options. Now, special effect level low, material level low, post processing level low, high precision model range low, volumetric fog off, shadows off, and as you can see, other issues are all on low. Now, the reason why I keep everything to these low settings is it's the easiest to run through anything. If I'm ever caught off guard running into a sector which is overloaded like Jita, I'm not going to end up experiencing too much of lag. By the time I reach the station, I'll know that I'm at the station. It won't be keeping me boomeranging all the way to the station. So that is the difference between having these settings active or not. And if you make any mistakes with your settings, you just go down to reset settings, and oh, okay, right, resetting. Whew, I thought I almost reset everything. That means I'd have to go through everything all over again. So that is just the basics on changing your settings for combat. Now, when you go out and you say, for example, are in actual combat, let me just leave this dock quickly. I doubt I'm going to be ambushed right now, but let's just go for a quick run. This is how you set your auto orbits. Now, you can approach at a certain distance or you can orbit at a certain distance. I will show you how to do that in a second. And then I will show you how to set your orbit. Okay, just let's double check there's no enemies. Nothing. Okay, so number one, when it comes to setting an orbit, let me just jump to, okay, I'm just warping to the gate. Now, if anything does happen, I'm going to lose the ship, and it's nothing that major. But anyway, here's the whole idea behind it. If I want to set my default orbits, I click on the ship, and you'll see here that it says set orbit. Now you hold down, it'll give you the option to set. Mine was 37. There's it, I'm taking it back to 37. Now my orbit is set at 37. So the default orbit on the ship is 37 kilometers, giving me a nice long range with my long range weapons. If you change your weapons, you change your range, you change all your settings so that you can do things at the rate that you want to. Now here comes the next option of following and orbiting. So here I go, I'm touching the gate, and I'm first going to hit orbit. Now I'm going to set my orbit. As you can see, this ring goes up to 100 kilometers. So I'm going to go out to 100 and I'm going to start orbiting. If you watch my ship, it's now going to start orbiting CNC 100 kilometers. And as you can see, the display is on the gate as we speak. Now let's say that I wanted to approach at 838 kilometers. Now it's going to change the whole option. It's going to say approaching, and there we go. Now it's going to pull me out to the desired distance that I want to approach. and that is where I'm going to be stuck at. So if you're ever running in a fleet and you want to break up your fleet into multiple parts, you can set a close orbit on one ship and a long orbit on another fleet of ships, so that your fleets have the right spacing between them to allow for a beachhead or for an assault flow or something like that. And once you click on a follow, all ships will keep following until the ships warp. Now, as you saw, that's how you set your orbits and you warp around. Now, that being said, there is just two of the various things that you can immediately do when it comes to setting your settings. There are other things that you can do to set how you play, and that is by choosing your fittings. Example, if you wanted to know what's the maximum orbit you could use, you can simply open out the display on your weapon. Now, reading the missile range will give you your max range of 41.85 kilometers. So, at 41.85 kilometers, with this missile set on my ship, that is as far as I can go while hitting an enemy. If the enemy breaches that distance, I can't hit them. Okay, now moving up, you got the flight velocity. It says that this missile will launch at 5,698 meters per second. That means that anything that is moving that fast will not be able to be hit by this missile. So if you manage to somehow put a frigate too close to one of these ships and manage to super accelerate it with a micro warp drive, if the missiles were launched while it was still within range and you start to accelerate, they will be hit before they break range on the missile. So that is how it goes for this whole situation when it comes to fighting the Caracal with the Caracal or with any other ship for that matter. I'm supposed to be docked. So anyway, all of this being said, that is exactly what you can change to optimize your battle strategies and battle formats in the game. Now, docking at a station is something that you can always do. Holding up your custom HUDs, actually it's something else I should do as well. Let me just show you custom HUDs. Now, this is just a basics on what you can do to set up your combat. Now, as you saw, the system is empty at the moment, but this is a very dangerous system to be doing these things in. So I'm just going to do it as fast as possible. Now, on the side, you're going to open your HUD for all of the directions in the system. There you go. Now, you will hit the filter button. Now, at the bottom of this, you're going to go all the way to add. Now, when you add, you can create your own custom label. Now, let's say, for example, you are fighting vessels in terms of a war, and you are only good for attacking cruisers, battle cruisers, transport ships, whatever it is that you want to attack, because you have a massive fleet coming through and you know that you're only good at that one thing. So all you do is you lock on and you'll set up these labels and you'll remove the official labels from your list. Now, what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to alter the way in which you're going to run combat. Now, I'm not going to do this. I'm actually just going to do that. Now, when it comes to setting up these customs, you have to know exactly what it is you are looking for. And I'm just going to go through some of them besides this here. When it comes to ships, you can make it select any and all types of ships. Structures, look at that station, citadel, stargate, warp gate. So if you need to have this here open to do dead space, you can always use it. Celestial bodies, there you go, you can instantly warp to them. Signals, there you go, another thing which you always find in systems. And here's another option for all of your loot. You can find out who is attacking players, where the drones are from a player's ship, the police in the high sec systems when you've committed a crime, cargo containers, racks, all of that is an option in others. And standing, this here will tell you in which standing an alliance is towards you. So corporation, alliance, fleet, friendly, neutral, or hostile. You can actually select this for any and all players who are playing with you, and you can select one of these to decide what type of action you will carry towards them. So if they're in your corporation, they'll show green, they'll show red. You can actually have this display all your hostiles and all of your friendlies. If, say, for example, you're running a fleet into an enemy territory, it will allow you to change your trajectories to the correct locations. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed this quick tutorial on your basic settings for combat. Now let me just talk quickly. So thank you all. Have a good day.